I disagree with Mick obviously on a lot, but one of the
literally everything.
Yeah, one of the things that I really do feel strongly about is that what I would call radical progressivism is very, very different from liberalism. And we just need to be clear about what those differences are, because there are many people on the left, like Mick, who say, you know, this word woke is being used to discredit minority groups and it's not a real thing. Let me just be clear about what I mean by radical progressivism and why I'm worried about it. If you're a liberal, and I would describe myself as a classical liberal, I believe in individual rights. I believe that individuals should be able to do essentially what they want to do based on their character and their characteristics and whatever it is, that their hard work and so on. Radical progressivism doesn't think like that. Radical progressivism puts the individual behind their fixed group identity. It says the most important thing about you is not that you might be an individual with talent and genius and character and political views of your own. It says you're a white male, and that's the most interesting thing about you. It's basically organized around fixed group identities and a competitive identity structure which would put you at the bottom of the league table relative to, say, somebody from a minority, racial, sexual or gender background or whatever. That's why I worry about it, because it's pitting us against one another. It has no interest in the common humanity that the first era of civil rights focused on. If you go back and you read Martin Luther King's speeches, he wasn't talking about competitive identities. He actually talked about bringing in low-educated, low-income whites into the civil rights struggle. You won't get that today in the discourse of BLM. The second reason I think radical progressivism is problematic is because it rejects the objective scientific method. And I see this every day in universities. If I come up with a study tomorrow, if I came on this show to talk to you with research that suggested disparities between groups were not simply because of racism, as Tony Sewell did with the Sewell report earlier this last year, lots of people would throw their toys out the pram and say, how can you possibly deny that these disparities are because of racism? Maybe the report finds that actually family breakdown has played a role. Maybe the report finds that poverty has played a role. Maybe the report finds that regional inequality has played a role. Radical progressivism takes evidence that undermines its claims and it says, nope, not interested in that. What we're interested in is maintaining our sacred ideological creed. I worry about that as a researcher because I'm interested in objective scientific knowledge and the search for truth. And lastly, radical progressives don't only want to dilute the things that hold us together as people in a shared community. They're not just skeptical of our shared history, our shared culture, but a radical minority within that group actively repudiate who we are. They view the West fundamentally as being racist. They view societies like Britain as being structurally and institutionally prejudiced, even though all the evidence in social science shows clearly levels of racism and prejudice are falling over time, not increasing. And they fundamentally put us in a place where the only thing really that holds us together is that we are essentially part of these fixed identity groups and we're either an oppressor or we're a victim. This is a terrible place for an increasingly diverse, complicated society to be. It is not a liberal place to be. So the 15%, Mick, I'm afraid, I will always view this group with suspicion, because if their plan is enacted, the result is division.